Things have been dormant for 18 months, but the slow return to some kind of normal starts here. Welcome to Guatemala, and welcome back to archery. It's stage 1 of the Hyundai Archery World Cup series here in Guatemala City. Range is all set up and ready to go, and the conditions, well, they've been changeable this week, but today they're very, very good. And we're looking for some high scores. The temperature knocking around about 20 degrees with a very steady wind. I'm Karim Bashir, and joining me here for this session and indeed for the rest of the season, it's former world number 1 Nikki Hunt. Compound Saturday, Nikki.
I'm just really excited to watch these matches and see these archers back on the shooting line.
Yeah, well, we get some great views. The first time in 18 months that we've had an international Hyundai Archery World Cup, and here is the schedule for today. We start with the women's team gold, followed by the men's team gold, and then we've got both the bronze and the gold final in the mixed team here on Compound Saturday. Coming up first, it will be that women's compound team gold medal match. Let's take a look at the draw. USA coming through the top with a fairly comfortable win over El Salvador, and it was Mexico who had a slightly tighter win against a very strong Colombian team. The Colombians went on to take the bronze medal, and now we're about to find out who will take the gold. Well, as you can see, we're nearly ready to go. Nikki, the lineups are looking like they're about to come up. It's a very strong USA team, very familiar names, and a very young Mexican team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these teams are very evenly matched, ranked first and third coming into this, so it's going to be a really, really tight match.
Well, it's time for the team announcements.
En la diana número 1, representando a Estados Unidos de América, Linda Ochoa Anderson, Pierce Perry, Alexis Ruiz. En la diana número 2, representando a México, Andrea Becerra, Esmeralda Sánchez y Margarita Valencia.
Well, there we have it, the teams being announced out to, well, I was going to say to the crowd here in Guatemala, but due to the restrictions that we've all become very used to, there is no crowd out there. But as you can see, the venue looks dressed as though there would be a big crowd. It is a strong USA team. World number 1, Alexis Ruiz, and world number 3, Paige Pierce, in the lineup for the USA, along with Linda Ochoa Anderson. And it's a young and feisty Mexican team. Andrea Becerra, Esmeralda Sanchez, and Margarita Valencia. It's Becerra with the highest world seed in the Mexican team, ranked number 22 in the world. But it will be the USA team who will shoot first. As you can see, 3 members to the team. Each will shoot 2 arrows in each of the 4 ends. And we work on an accumulative score in compound archery. And you can see the marked lines on the shooting line. Next archer is not allowed to step over that line until the previous archer has finished shooting and stepped back over it. So here we go. It's time to go for gold in the compound women's team.
9, 9.
Good start from the Americans. The Americans will each shoot their first arrows, all 3, and then we will switch over to target 2 for the first 3 arrows from the Mexicans. So marked up as a 29 for the USA. Solid start, Nikki.
Yeah, definitely. That's exactly how they wanted to open up. Straight dialed in off the practice range and into the competition.
Moving. 9.8 a las 4. Bien. Háblense. Compensaste o algo. Venga, Ita. Dale tiempo. Centra bien. Venga, Margarita. Bien fuerte atrás. Vete fuerte. Atrás. Un poquito fuerte.
Quite a long hold there. I mean, they're only getting 20 seconds each in this team round to shoot. So, you know, that's going to take up quite a lot of their time in this minute. They can spread that time over you're going to shoot 1 arrow each, and then they're going to switch back to the American team. That's going to make a bit more pressure in the second half.
A long hold and a bit of a grimace there. That's definitely skipped into the 8. So 26 halfway through for the Mexicans. As you said, Nikki, the Americans looking at dialed in as we look at Ochoa Anderson's second shot.
You can see that they had, you know, a decent amount of time left. I mean, it can be interesting to see what the Mexicans got left, because they really did use up a lot of that first minute and over, I would imagine. The Americans just look that bit more kind of, you know, relaxed, they're experienced, they know what they're doing out here.
Yes.
Well, you said they were dialed in with their first 3. These first 2 have gone right into the X ring. And as you say, Nikki, plenty of time for the world number 1 here. On for a 59 if Alexis Ruiz can get a 10.
Yes.
And she does.
Yes. Perfecto.
That's exactly how you want to open up, isn't it? Just put the pressure on the other team.
Well, let's see how much time the Mexicans have left. On the shooting line, we need to look down the range.
Oh, that's just on the line as well. Not quite sure if that'll be in or out. Might need to wait for a measure on that one as well. They've really got to speed themselves up here. I'm just worried for them on the clock. That was faster and much nearer the closer to the middle. Again, perhaps another measure needed.
So already down inside 10 seconds to go. You can hear the countdown from the coach. Gets it out in time, and that's a good arrow as well. But the Mexicans looking on a soon-to-be confirmed 53, we think. Nikki, great start from the Americans and what we can expect. But look, the Mexicans came through Colombia. They're a tough team to beat. Is this a bit of stage fright, perhaps?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Colombia are great, and to come through and beat them on the way, that's got to give you some confidence. But, you know, we're on the big stage here in the finals. I think there's a different pressure associated when it's just you and the other team here now. So, you know, these guys just haven't experienced that so much. And they've just come out, they've been a little bit slow to get the shots off. They're just holding a little bit too long at full draw. We want to see that nice timing, that nice rhythm each shot. I mean, the Americans definitely showed us that.
Yeah, looking very solid there. Just caught Ochoa Anderson's shot, and that was the world number 1. Mexicans, well, you can even see a little bit of shakiness in the drawing hand from the Mexicans. Paige Pierce getting off her second arrow. All 3 of the Americans in the 10s in the second half of that first end. Cumulative score, Nikki, as well, 59-53, subject to confirmation. That's already a big ask, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that is a bit of a lead already for USA. We know they're strong, so, you know, Mexico really have got to put the pressure on here. They're going to be shooting first. We want to see them straight into the 10, put that pressure right back on the USA.
USA looking very relaxed as the scores are being confirmed.
Yeah, there's some quite close arrows in here, so we've got to wait for these confirmations of scores here.
Can't quite hear the target judge. We did try and give him a listen, but couldn't quite hear what was being said then. Look, let's get the elephant out of the room. 18 months since the last Hyundai Archery World Cup Series final, in fact, in Moscow. It's been a long wait. World Archery have innovated and done a lot of remote events, but this is the very first proper international. How much pressure is on these athletes, not just because of the long pause, but they have to wear masks when they're not shooting and all the COVID regulations.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can do lots in practice, but you just can't really recreate the pressure that brings in competition. So, you know, it is interesting to see these guys back out there on the line with cameras in their face and that pressure on them. So, you know, this is the real test now.
Yeah, and testament to the Guatemalan, the Republic of Guatemala and the Archery Federation there, and of course World Archery as well, showing the flexibility required to put on this event with all the health and safety regulations in place. It's been an amazing wait, and it's an amazing job done by all those concerned to make this happen. We are definitely back to archery. USA leading here in the compound women's team finals. We are still waiting for confirmation of the scores, but it's definitely going to be Mexico who will shoot first. It's time for end number 2.
So Mexico really got to open up much stronger now, put that pressure back on the USA. Had the first end to get those nerves out of the way to see if they can just settle down. Drop the first one. Constantly talking to each other within the team. You know, it's important, that information that's going between them.
Yeah, the flow of conversation in team matches is much more than in an individual, that's for sure. Mexicans, though, they have upped the intensity, have upped the pace.
Yeah, the timing's better, isn't it? You know, they're communicating, they're talking well. There's not much difference happening on the range there in terms of conditions, I don't think, but, you know, that was a better end from them.
So USA, commanding lead. Joe Anderson with a 10.
They just look super relaxed, don't they? You know, they're out there on their field and straight in the 10.
On the line.
Slightly longer hold, but again, straight in there, so it's impressive. Lots of communication, pretty relaxed. Perfect 30.
So, Nikki, I get a chance to ask you a real intimate archery question here. Why did Alexis Ruiz, the world #1, grimace on that shot? She scored a 10. It was pretty close to the centre. What's the grimace all for?
She might just have felt that she just wasn't quite on the centre when it went off. So what you last see as a compounder, as that shot breaks, it pretty much goes there. So she just might have felt, you know, it wasn't quite exactly where she wanted it to be, and you know, but it was still good enough to be a 10.
Perfectionists. That's what we see from these archers. They want to not only shoot the perfect score, but they want to execute each shot perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, with compound here, we're shooting 50 metres, we're on an 80 centimetre face, but we've really got to see 10s every shot. You know, it's that kind of level, it's that kind of pressure. You've got to go out there and really be shooting 10s all the time at this level.
There's 2 10s to finish for the Mexicans. Puts them on 111. Nothing much really to measure there, so we're back to the USA and their final 3 arrows. Ochoa Anderson up first again.
Obviously she wasn't happy with that, just came out to the right a little bit. Slightly longer hold, but you know, nothing particularly too bad on that shot. But back in the 10 again, that's just what they needed there.
Watch the clock for it.
Just a note, watch the clock. Didn't look like the Americans were particularly slow in their first 3 hours, but that was a quick shot there. And another 59 for the USA. So by my reckoning, they're on 118, and the lead has opened up by another point.
Yeah, I mean the timing is so tight with compounds. They take a little bit longer to get up to full draw, to settle down. 20 seconds on that team round. You've got to get off the line, be clear of it before your teammate comes back over the line again. So the time pressure is a bit higher. With recurve, what we'll see tomorrow, it's generally the quicker shots, so the time pressure isn't as intense.
We're going to take a look back at the Mexicans, who performed much better in the second end than they did in the first. Nervous through the first, and solid performance from all three of the Americans, in particular Paige Pierce and the world number one there, Alexis Ruiz, who haven't shot outside the 10 ring so far in this match. Big challenge for the Mexicans.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's never over till it's over. They've just got to keep going. They've just got to keep themselves calm in that normal space, and just hope that something else happens on the other side of the range. They can't control that. They can only control, what they're doing each and every shot. So stick to their normal routines.
Well, it will be Mexico to shoot first in end number 3. They are trailing by 7 points by our calculations. We are, of course, waiting for that confirmation, but a much more confident Mexico.
You could see it on their t-shirt there, though, couldn't you? You could see it getting a little bit blown around. So I wonder if there is a little factor there that we can't see as much. But yeah, another 9.
You see that big countdown clock in the green background on the USA's scoring board. 120 seconds to start with. Now there is a potential opening. Linda Ochoa Anderson into the 8. She shot 2.9 so far. That is the lowest arrow from the USA in this gold medal match.
Interesting that they've just both moved out of the 10 now, so both a little bit low. We saw the Mexicans go high though, so there doesn't seem to be consistency of why this is happening. More archer related, perhaps. Solid from Paige, back in the 10.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of now it's top,
So in this team format, would one team react to the other? Would the Americans have seen the Mexicans shooting high in their first 3 arrows and adjust?
Sometimes the coach will give you that information, so the coach is there behind them. They can give factors like that. The coach is looking around to see what's going on. The archers are very much looking at the targets. They're, in their zone. So that could have been a bit of information that the coach gave, and perhaps, they might have moved their sights. So it's a possibility. I think the arrow just fell off the rest there. You can see her just popping it back on with her fingers at the front of the bow.
Solid. So 56. Now you can see the wind is just jumping around a little bit. It's dropped down, but now it's pointing or coming at them rather than from behind them. And look, that's a second 8 in this end from Linda Ochoa Anderson.
She just seemed to lose her confidence, didn't she? After that first shot, you could see visibly she was unhappy with it and went back on again, not confident what to do. So I think they're just struggling to read perhaps the conditions here.
9.
So repeat
Alexa.
for Paige Pierce as well. 2 9s from her in this end. Ruiz seems to have stepped up to wear the captain's armband in this women's team, and that's why.
They needed that 10, didn't they? Just to really seal that lead. I mean, if she dropped another 8 possibly in there, it really would have opened things up. So it was a bit of pressure around that last shot just to make sure they maintained a decent lead here into the last end.
Yeah, great shooting. Now on the point of Alexis Ruiz, she's really pre-pandemic, she'd really sort of started to step up and really not only was getting medals but on a consistent basis, and she now does seem to be the captain of the team. She seems to be the solid, reliable go-to archer.
Yeah, I mean, she's world #1 right now. She's, you know, the most relevant, up-to-date archer there. I mean, Linda Ochoa has been a fantastic archer in her time. I think she was at world #2 at her best. But yeah, Ruiz is, you know, is, like you say, she's leading. She's being confident. We're going to see her later on this afternoon. So, you know, she's just top of her game right now.
Yeah, she really is. I mean, let's not forget, Paige Pierce is the world #3, so 1 and 3 in the USA team. Linda Ochoa Anderson all the way down at 28 in the world, a remarkable 28 in the world. But as you say, she's been around a while, 34 years old, whereas Ruiz is 21 and Pierce is 26. But still a very strong unit. But this young Mexican team, well, you know, the opportunity is afforded themselves. They've beaten Colombia to get here, and now, look, a tough ask against the USA, but they're still putting in a good performance and a solid performance, and the experience of being on the podium range, if you like.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they were just slow to start off. They've kind of maintained themselves now. You know, they've just got to keep going. Again, they're going to shoot first in this last end, so got to put the pressure on. You know, there's a little bit of, you know, tension happening over there in the USA. Can they really put the pressure on? So knock them off a little bit and try and build this gap back up.
Yeah, well, it's time for end number 4. Five-point swing, a lot to ask for. Just holding on to the 9 ring.
Yeah, she just didn't look happy as soon as that went off. She's a little bit unsure of it. That's what they needed there. Nice solid 10. Can they back it up with the final one? I like that the nail varnish matches the bow colour. I mean, that's impressive in itself. Struggling a bit there. I don't know how much wind we're getting in this stadium. I think they've got like a wall right behind them, so whether we're getting a bit of wind that kind of swirls inward around them, I don't know. This is the thing, when they build up a stadium like this, you do get like channels which can affect them.
Yeah, it's temporary banners going up all over the place, but with gaps in between them, creating eddies, I'm sure, throughout the venue, but you can definitely see the wind moving around a little bit. Ochoa Anderson with a 9. Now 29 for Mexico in their first 3. Paige Pierce shot 2 9s in the 3rd end. Is she going to get back into the 10 ring?
Yes, she does. Nice and solid. They're looking happier again now, aren't they, as a team? You can just see the dynamics again.
Very calm process that Ruiz is going through as well. Very relaxed. And, you know, not that I'm any kind of expert, but it looks like Ruiz's bow is very unfussy. You don't, on some of the bows you see lots of accoutrements like this one here. There seems to be a lot more on that bow.
I mean, all the compound competitors will have the same elements on that bow. You know, they've got different colours and things they pop on there, but essentially they're all shooting with a magnified scope at the front, and they've got a peep sight in the back of the string, so it's more like a gun with these compounders. You know, it's much more kind of high level, really. That's why we expect them to be shooting 10s. They've got mechanical release aid as well, rather than the recurvers are shooting on their fingers. And that's why these guys are shooting on a smaller target face.
Lovely shot there. But the accumulative score is perhaps not as forgiving as the set system that is used in recurve archery. And is that the reason why? Because they have these mechanical aids and they're expected to shoot higher scores all the time?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we always do see higher scores of the compound. I think Mexico there finished that 10. They were really happy with how they performed. They know that's probably not enough, but you know, young team, they've come out on the stage, they've got that experience now, and they'll take that with them to further World Cups.
Pierce here with her final arrow into the 10. And, well, as you can all see, a 5 required to win. Ruse hasn't shot outside the 10 ring in this match so far. A record that she couldn't quite keep to the end, but a 9 was more than enough, and a 2.29 for the USA sees them take gold here in Guatemala. They were always going to be the favourites, the USA. A good performance from the Mexicans, perhaps a stronger scoreline for the USA just because of that very first end from Mexico.
Yeah, they trailed early on. They just couldn't really keep up after that. But it was great to see them out here. I thought it would be tighter. On paper, the Mexicans came in having beaten Colombia, but I think like I said before, just being on that world stage in front of everybody, with the cameras rolling, I think sometimes that just adds that extra bit of pressure. And younger team, it's some of their first outings on this big stage, so they'll learn from that. It's a really good place to be, and like as an individual coming out as a team and shooting together and having this kind of camaraderie and conversations going on, that is great experience for you as an individual as well.
Yeah, fantastic from Mexico, but confirmation that the USA have taken stage 1 of the Hyundai Archery World Cup here in Guatemala City in the compound women's team event. A beautiful performance from them. It's been a fantastic event for Mexico, who took out Colombia, a surprise win for them in the semi-finals, shooting a 2.29 against the Colombian team. Fabulous silver medal for Mexico, and it was Colombia who went on to take the bronze medal. So just replacing the targets, clean faces for our next gold medal match. And as you can see, the wind is buffeting around there, Nikki.
It is, yeah. It has changed since the early conditions. So, we did see those archers just getting moved around just slightly. So, yeah, things have changed, and they do, and you have to react quickly to that.
Yeah, you certainly do. This shot here gives us a good view of how the conditions are slightly different. And here are the USA.
Of this season, how do you feel about this victory?
It was great. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, definitely. I feel like it was a little bit hard, especially after not shooting for this long and then shooting against Mexico. Personally, I think so. But I had great teammates and they were shooting really good, so it feels really good. It does.
You controlled the match from start to finish. Were you confident from the first hour that you shot on that final field?
Yeah, I think we were. After what we did yesterday, this was obviously our first time getting to shoot on the world stage with Linda on the team, and we just worked so well together yesterday, and it was really smooth, and I was pretty confident we were going to go out there and do the same.
This is the first time that Linda joins both you, Paige, and Alexis on this finals field. Did it feel natural as a team?
It did.
It did.
We're keeping her.
Yes.
Thank you very much, girls.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For them today.
Just saw Linda taking her first shot, I think, of the match, as we take a look back across the match, and it was that very first end. But Linda coming into team, it can be disruptive, a new member.
Yeah, it definitely can be. I mean, all these girls are on the circuit together. They kind of know each other, and I think Linda's been living there in America for quite some time, so it's not like they don't know, and so they've just gelled really well together. I mean, they're out there shooting their own arrows, but it's getting that nice timing and movement within a team that you need to practice, and they've just gelled really quickly.
Yeah, and it was interesting to hear Paige Pierce saying that they kind of knew that they could get out there and do that, and they certainly did. A brilliant win for the USA, 2.29 against 2:23 for Mexico. Paige Pierce, Alexis Ruiz and Linda Ochoa Anderson. It looks like we're almost ready for the medal ceremony. The Mexican lineup will be collecting the silver. Andrea Becerra, Esmeralda Sanchez and Margarita Valencia. The targets are all ready for our next gold medal match. And the wind, as you can see, changed again. It was buffeting across left to right. Now it's settled right down again. So changeable conditions. They could be playing a part in this compound Saturday team session here in Guatemala City. And as we saw in the break between the medal matches, everything is sanitized. So the whole team of volunteers come out onto the shooting line and everything is sprayed with disinfectant. Protocols in place, obviously, to make this competition possible and safe for all competing. And in fact, an interesting fact that we got news of last night, because of some of the changes, this just goes to show the flexibility that's required in these strange times, even as we return back to archery. You need to be flexible because this venue was actually built from scratch just a couple of days ago. Enough of that. Let's go to the medal ceremony for the compound women's team event here at stage 1 of the Hyundai Archery World Cup.
Medals will be presented by World Archery Secretary General Tom Dillon. Gifts will be presented by Guatemala Archery Federation Board Member
Hugo Figueroa.
Well, here we go. Time for the medal ceremonies here.
Medalla de bronce, representando a Colombia.
Bronze medal representing Colombia.
Well, it's the Colombians who picked up the bronze, having lost to Mexico in the semi-finals. Tom Dillon there, Secretary General of World Archery, presenting the medals to Alejandra Asquino, Nora Valdez, and of course Sara Lopez on the right. And each of the competitors get a local doll, traditional here in Guatemala City. A nice little trinket to take home. Not far for the Colombians to travel home, not far at all for the Mexicans. It's just a hop, skip and a jump north over the border. And they will be going back home with their silver medals.
Margarita Valencia, Esmeralda Sanchez, Andrea Becerra.
As you probably heard, it's the 24-year-old Margarita Valencia, the 22-year-old Esmeralda Sanchez, and the 20-year-old Andrea Becerra with their silver medals here in Guatemala City. So far, it looks like a competition, certainly the compound women's, that's favoured the teams that haven't had to travel too far, because the gold medal goes to the United States of America. A solid performance throughout the competition. Gold for Alexis Ruiz on the left, Paige Pierce in the middle, and Linda Ochoa Anderson, new member of the team, having switched countries. Ochoa Anderson collecting her gold medal and her first medal for the USA. Just an opportunity to get their photographs. Now it's time to hear the national anthem of the United States of America. Well, we've waited a long time to see some full international competitive archery, and they've waited a long time to stand on a podium. But the Americans in particular are absolutely loving this moment here in Guatemala City. Congratulations to them and to Mexico and Colombia. Our first medals here at stage 1 of the Hyundai Archery World Cup series are sorted. And let's have a look at the compound team rankings. Well, there you have it. Just El Salvador, the team missing from the podium. They're in 4th place. USA at the top, with Mexico 2nd and Colombia 3rd. Well, we take a look back over the match, Nikki, a solid unit from both sides, but particularly impressive to see Linda Ochoa Anderson settle into that USA team so well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they led from the beginning all the way through. They maintained that lead. You know, a little bit wobbling through the middle, but I think as we saw, the conditions may have changed slightly. We saw a little bit of buffeting around that American team. But yeah, there was no doubt really, was there, through the match that they were going to take gold.
No favourites. Mexico have done themselves proud, beating Colombia. I know we've repeated that a few times, but that's no mean feat to beat a strong Colombia team with Sara Lopez in it and getting the silver medal here after a nervy first end that really put the whole thing out of reach. USA, Ochoa Anderson, Paige Pierce and Ruiz taking gold here in Guatemala City. Proud to stand on top of the podium again, I am sure. Well, that is it from the women's compound team event. Coming up very shortly will be the compound men's team gold medal match. So, Nikki, you mentioned, we both mentioned the wind buffeting around. We said it's been very stable and steady today. We've both been looking at it, watching it. The conditions have seemed very good all day. And then click on the start of the competition and the wind starts blowing around all over the place.
It's the archery gods. Everyone knows this. It's always perfect weather before we start, and then as soon as that whistle blows, off the wind goes, and you know, we've got a break now, so it's fine again. But it just adds a bit of fun to the event, doesn't it? And you know, that's what the archer's got to read. They've got to look at the conditions and make the decision. Do they need to aim off? And in compound, not so much. You know, those guys might be able to bubble, so that means just canting the bow over a little bit, and that could be enough in the wind to get the 10.
Well, now it's time for the compound men's team gold medal match. The team lineups here again, familiar story. The teams that haven't had to travel too far doing very well. Colombia versus Mexico.
Juan Fernando Bonilla, Pablo Gómez Zuluaga y Daniel Muñoz. En la diana número 2 y representando a México, Miguel Becerra, Antonio Hidalgo y Uriel Olvera.
So there we have the two lineups. World number 9, Daniel Munoz, leading things out for Colombia, along with Fernando Bonilla, who's 26, and the 18-year-old Pablo Gomez Zuluaga. An interesting lineup for the Colombians. It's a young team from Mexico as well. World number 48, Antonio Hidalgo, is lining up with Miguel Becerra, who's 20 years old, and Uriel Oliveira, who we don't actually have an age for. He's not even on the ranking list, but you just have to take a look at him. He is young.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the big upset here was on the way through, Colombia took out the USA, so, you know, they're on fire right now. USA came back to win the bronze, but it's going to be really interesting to see how they get on in this match.
Yeah, that's a very good point. USA with a full lineup as well. Galantine, Schaff and Wild ranked number 1. And, wow, it was a relatively comfortable win for Colombia in the semi-finals. 232 plays 228. Can they maintain this against the Mexican team here on the shooting line, ready for end number 1?
Just slightly off to the left there, so I'm not sure where they're shooting before they come into the venue. Sometimes you shoot in a practice field that might be in a different direction, so that can change things as the first arrow goes in on the actual field. Nicely centered there.
You can see the wind's picked up again. It's coming from behind this time. Just drifting left to right. Oh, that's a lovely shot though.
Pretty much dead center. If you look carefully in the middle of the target face, there's a little X. We like to call that the spider.
So leading out with their key man here, Daniel Munoz.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to either start or finish with one of your strongest competitors. He might actually switch. They can change the order up here. He started with a 10, really nice and solid.
So he might shoot first and last, perhaps?
He could do, yeah. He could open up here in this first end. As long as each of them shoot 1 arrow each per, you know, end, we're going to switch between them, alternate between the teams. But the next time we go back to that team, they could be in a different order. So you could start with your strongest competitor and you could finish with that one as well at the very end.
Should be interesting. Putting the teenager Gomez Zuluaga in the middle.
Yeah, the middle was the most protected position, so you know you're just between your teammates, nice and sandwiched, which is a nice, comfortable place to be. They can give you feedback, what's going on out in the field. So yeah, you normally put your weaker archer in the middle, but not always.
Solid shot there.
You can see the teams counting each other down, so they can see a clock. They've got 20 seconds each really to shoot. I mean, they can move over that a little bit, but obviously then you've got to think about the last person on the line. If you've used up all the time and they've only got 10 seconds left, then that puts a lot of pressure on. So it's good to stay in around your 20 seconds if you can.
Wow, we didn't quite see where that went. They called it a 10 in venue. Fist bumps all around for the teams, putting their masks back on. So leading out with Munoz again.
You can see as well they've shot on different target faces, so again, as long as you've got 1 arrow from each archer in it, well, 3 arrows in each face actually, so it doesn't matter who shoots on which face, you can decide, so we can see a slightly different order there. The other team decided to shoot 3 in one face, move across. These guys have alternated a little bit on their faces.
Yeah,
Get a bit crowded in there if we only gave them one face between them all.
difficult for the target judge as well. Long hold here. Bonilla not happy, and that's drifted out into the 8. So having scored 4 10s to start off this end, the Colombian team drop 3 points in the last 2 arrows for a 57.
Yeah, he just didn't seem to be able to get the shot going, did he? So a long hold, waiting for the release aid to go, and it just didn't want to go. So, you know, it's just cost them dearly, isn't it, on that last shot?
Right, Nikki, it's been 18 months since we've been able to watch this level of archery. Tell us a little bit more. Explain a little bit more. You said he couldn't seem to get the shot going, and you mentioned he couldn't get the release aid to go. Just for the new people to archery, what are you talking about there?
So the compound archers here, they're holding a release aid in that backhand on the string. That is going to trigger the string to be released. So there's a couple of different ways they can do that. You can see the thumb wrapped around like a little trigger there basically. So sometimes it's done with back tension where it's slowly pulled. Sometimes you can sort of actively see them squeezing the trigger as well. So you know, I sort of call that like a process. They're up there at full draw. He's got his thumb. Can you see now? He's just about to put his thumb around it. Oh, and he punched it. Okay, so we can see a difference here between the archers. The first one was more of a back tension release. He hooked around and then he made that squeeze, whereas that last shot we just saw there was it was up, his thumb was away, and then suddenly he punched it.
And that's a deliberate move from that archer. That's not a mistake. That's their part of their process, right?
Yeah, that's the way he's shooting. So he is shooting a conscious shot, we'd say. He's deciding, I'm going to shoot now, whereas the more popular method, I would say, is an unconscious shot.
So just feeling it, feeling when to let go.
Yeah, wrapping your thumb around the release aid and then really focusing on like a back tension, like a pressure from the front hand to the back hand, and that just makes the shot break.
Well, there we go. Return to archery lesson from Nikki Hunt there. Just what's needed. We get into end number 2, and it's Colombia trailing. They'll shoot first in this gold medal match.
Siguen continuo en línea, continuo en línea. Bien, bien, bien. Bordeando 10 izquierda. Listo, listo.
Watching his thumb, and he just saw him punch it again. So different techniques. That one didn't work out for him. Got a 9 there. And this one wrapping thumb around and then more of a back tension squeeze. Didn't like the shot though. You can just tell from the expressions, you know, he wasn't on the gold there. It just didn't feel right for him, and ended in as a 9.
And you do get that immediate reaction. But I sometimes get distracted when they shoot a 10 and they've pulled a face.
Yeah.
That still gets me every time.
You can get to the level where you shoot what feels like a bad shot and still hit the 10. Like this is the level that some of these guys are at, you know. Nice, well-timed shot. Looked like it caught the line.
Certainly called a 10 in venue.
Again, nice solid shot, nice back tension. And the Mexicans just looking quite confident now. Got into their rhythm.
Doesn't look happy, does he, Daniel Munoz?
No, they as a team, they're just not working. You know, they just look uncomfortable at the moment. They've got to regroup a little bit, keep talking to each other.
Yeah, otherwise it can start to fall apart. Now that is the youngster, that's Pablo Gomez Zuluaga. I suppose in some respects he hasn't got as much pressure on him. His teammates sitting either side of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's still feeling pressure, isn't he? You know, he's young, they're trying to shelter him and protect him as much as possible, but when it's the first time on your stage like this, you know, the pressure can get to you, and the technique which we talked about he's using where he's punching a little bit, that can really break down under pressure, and that's a key point, really. So to any compounders out there, I would urge you, go out and learn the subconscious shot, squeezing the trigger, back tension release, you know, under pressure. I feel, and most archers do feel, that's the best shot.
Lovely shot there, and of course you are heavily involved in coaching archery in the UK.
Yeah, I've been coaching since I retired from shooting myself back in 2016, so yeah, coaching both recurve and compound archers.
So they got within inside their 10 seconds, but a 4-point lead now for the Mexican team. And they just, without really seeing too much evidence of anything in particular, they just are operating as a unit, even as they move around each other. It's just, it seems just a little bit more natural, and they're just a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, you know, the whole kind of feel of the team is just more relaxed, isn't it? The Colombians, you can just see the body language has dropped a little bit, and it's really important when things aren't going well. You just got to reset, forget that arrow, it's gone. There's nothing you can do about it. Get back together as a team, help each other out, you know, offer advice if you can, and get back into your routine.
We take a look back here, just solid up to the line. It's almost emotionless support from each other. They're just keeping each other ticking along nicely. But you can see then the other side of the shooting line, there's distraction in the team setup for Colombia. Retrieve the arrows, and as Nicky said, you know, they've just got to wipe the slate clean and start again. There's a 4-point difference. You'd still rather be in the Mexican shoes, but that's not unassailable.
Absolutely. It is not over until it's over, so you've just got to keep in your normal routine, keep your process going, and, you know, there is a little bit of wind, like I say, it's not a massively windy day where anything could happen, but you've just got to keep going. It's not over till it's over.
Seguimos trabajando bien, relajados.
Inicia disparando, faca número 1, Colombia.
Well, they're just looking on and waiting for the range to be clear. There is the second bell. It's time for end number 3 of this compound men's team gold medal match.
Gancho continuo ahí, cómodo, solo zona.
Constantly talking to his teammate, isn't he? He's probably just offering a bit of support. You know, sometimes it's nice to have a certain word said over and over again. It might be, you know, strong, keep it strong. We hear a lot of the archers saying to other team members. This is where the support is really needed. Young archer, you can look at his thumb again. You can see the movement, you know, you can see the difference in that shot. He's doing ever so well. He's got a bit to learn, and he's going to be a great archer, I know, but you know, you can just see the differences in the shot.
That's a side on, just dropping into the 9, but a good start from the Colombians. Just dropping 1 point in the first 3 arrows, just looking a little bit more confident. If one of them's looking slightly less confident still, it's Daniel Munoz, the world number 9. Hidalgo leading out the team for the Mexicans now.
It looked pretty solid. He wasn't very happy with that, obviously being a 9, but there was nothing there that looked unusual.
Vera putting it in the same place. And the third member of the Mexican team, Miguel Becerra. So for me, that's 1 point claim back for the Colombians in the first half of this third end.
Yeah, they just need to try and apply the pressure. Got to get some 10s here.
On the line.
I think we'll have to wait for a judge call on that one. It looked pretty close.
They called that a 9 in venue.
Yeah. Watch the thumb. Got a 10. This is better, isn't it? Much nearer the centre.
Yeah, I think also that's 3 10s in the second half. We are going to have to go to a measure for Gomez Zuluaga's shot, but to me it looked good. Sorry, for Munez's shot was the first one of the 3 that was for the measure. Here, Hidalgo dropping another point for the Mexicans. They are opening the door here for Colombia, or perhaps it's the Colombians shooting first have done their job and put the pressure on the Mexicans. Well, grouping's good, but that's another 9. Miguel Becerra here. Do with getting another 10. He's drifted out into the 9, so that is 5 points dropped from a potential total. So 55, I've got the Mexicans marked as, and 59. So if that Munez second shot is marked up to a 10, we could be all square here.
Oh, it's going to get exciting. Got to wait for this measure, but oh, what a final end we're going to have here.
Well, I mean, even if it's marked as a 9, they've clawed back 3 of the 4-point deficit. An amazing performance from the Colombians. When it looked like they were all lost at sea, they've managed to put some pressure on their Mexican teammates, opponents I should say. Let's take a look back here. Munoz just looking, well, he's still not looking happy, but his shot, for me, it was 2 10s, potentially a 10 and a 9. And Juan Fernando Bonilla doing a solid job as well as the anchor for the team. The Mexicans dropping 5 into the 9 in that third end. Well, my Mexican's not great, or my Spanish is not great, but I think there's 1 point difference between the teams. That would mean that Munez's shot was marked down to a 9, not a 10 I thought it was, but we've got a real tight one here. Look at that, 170 for Colombia. They're right back in this. They trail by 1 to Mexico on 171. After 3 ends, we thought the Colombia were all at sea, but they're right back in this, trailing. They'll shoot first in the 4th and final end.
Disfrútala, Dani, vamos. Buen gancho. Cómodo, vamos.
I don't know if that was the camera angle or we could see a little bit of shaking there, but the nerves have really sort of crept up here. I think they all realise what is on the line and how open this is. That was another fairly wild arrow, but again, we're not quite sure. That fell in a hole, and it could be a 10, but I think it might be a 9.
So, subject to a measure potentially marked as a 10 in venue, but I think they will be measuring these ones anyway, as it's the final end of the gold medal match here in the compound men's team.
Again, he looks solid and just dropped low. No real reason I can see for that, but sometimes you come off the pressure and that can drop it low. Solid, that's what they needed there.
Venga, Miguelito.
Just see the arrow drop off the shelf, pop it back on with your finger. Full draw, it's a good skill to have in these team rounds because you have not got time to come down and have another go. Especially when you're holding that long. But it's a 10.
So all square through the first half of the final end. Subject to confirmation of that second arrow being 10 for Colombia. Currently, they potentially are trailing by 2.
Another liner. This is so close.
What's your feeling on that one? 10 or 9?
It's so hard to see because the angle we've got here of the arrow is kind of sticking up, so we can't quite see the line, but it's going to be another measure. Just got to keep it solid. Another 10.
Yeah, that one looked more solid for the youngster Gomez Zuluaga. Been very impressed by Juan Fernando Bonilla anchoring the Colombian team, but he's pulled that one massively wide.
Did you see his front arm? As the shot went off, he tried to pull it back over, and that's kind of just a reaction. He knew it was already, you know, pointed too far left, and he tried to pull it back, but it was just too late. You can't steer it after that time.
Yeah, steering it was definitely what we had, and as you said, that second arrow is marked for a 9, but so it could be up to 2:27. A solid start to the final 3 arrows from Antonio Hidalgo. Uriel Olvera with his last arrow. He's been solid too. So we've got an 8 to win here, and that's because that potential measure could put the Colombians on 2:27. So an 8 to confirm things. It's down to Miguel Becerra. Beautiful finish there. The time being counted down, putting more pressure on him seemingly. But Mexico have finished things off. A little wobble in the third, and then 5 out of the 6 shots in the fourth in the 10 ring. And it's Mexico with gold. Oh, Nicky, that third end was fascinating. Well, for the casual observer, the neutral, really brought something back into the match.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we thought Mexico were going away with it at the beginning there, and then Colombia looked so shaky, but then they pulled back really nicely through the middle of the match. What a nail biter we went into in that last end, and oh my goodness me, it was so tight, but what a brilliant match.
After such a tremendous performance from Juan Fernando Bonilla, the 26-year-old anchoring the Colombian team, he drifted that 8 out, and that really just opened the door massively.
Yeah, it looks unfortunate. You could just see he just wasn't aiming in the right spot. Its shot went off. He probably aiming left 8, and there it went. You know, there was nothing he could do about it. We could see the flags again there, blowing around a little bit. So whether, you know, he got shifted with the wind conditions, but yeah, it's such a shame because it could have really gone down to a tiebreaker there, couldn't it?
It really could have done it. It was so close. Good to see the Colombians fight back when they looked all at sea after 2. But it's Mexico with a compound men's team gold medal here in Guatemala City. And we are going to get a chance to speak with that Mexican team. Just a little unsure how quickly they'll get to the mixed zone for that interview. As we just take another look down the 50-meter range here. Replacing the targets in preparation for our next medal matches. We've got a bronze and a gold to come up in this session in the mixed team event. But we do wait for the Mexican team. Antonio Hidalgo, the 24-year-old, teaming up with Uriel Olvera and Miguel Becerra, taking the Hyundai Archery World Cup Guatemala City Stage 1 gold medal. Let's go and hear what they have to say.
Antonio, felicitaciones México por esta medalla de oro en esta primera parada de la Copa del Mundo. ¿Cómo se sienten?
Muy felices, creo que este nuevo equipo se hizo un gran trabajo. Tenemos nuestro compañero Uriel que es nuevo en selección. Miguel ya habíamos hecho equipo y habíamos ganado grandes eventos antes. Muy contentos con el resultado y venimos trabajando fuerte desde toda la semana.
Miguel, ¿controlaron el partido de principio a fin? ¿Sintieron que fue casi perfecto para ustedes?
La verdad sí, a pesar de que venteó un poco, hubo un poquito de viento, pero sí trabajamos para que desde el principio estuviéramos dominando el partido.
Uriel, es tu primera parada de la Copa del Mundo compitiendo con estos dos compañeros de equipo. ¿Cómo fue para ti hacer parte de este equipo?
Pues fue muy padre, estuvo muy agradecido con mis dos compañeros por dar su mejor esfuerzo conmigo y estoy bastante feliz, bastante contento.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Well, again, Spanish not that great, but certainly saying that they were happy, very content with the result here in Guatemala City. But again, Nikki, it seems to be the teams that haven't had to travel too far that are getting the results here. Colombia with the silver medal from Mexico there, who performed brilliantly. But let's not forget, Colombia took out the USA in the semi-finals. It was the USA who actually went on to take bronze. Is that a factor, not having to travel so far, especially after such a long break?
Yeah, it can be. You know, obviously they're in their normal sort of time zones to a degree, so the lack of jet lag and those sort of things can definitely help. Generally, we've seen obviously more of the Americas countries here competing, so you know, it's followed through, and we've seen more of them in the finals. But yeah, I think there's a bit of an advantage when it's in your sort of continent, really.
Yeah, and in the final itself, we just saw that the Colombian team just weren't together as a unit. They showed a real glimmer of hope in the third end, but the Mexicans overall were absolutely solid and deserve to take the gold medal here for the compound men's team event. And now it looks like we're ready to get on with presenting the medals, led out by the USA, who took the bronze medal. They beat France in that bronze medal match, 235 to 231, to make sure that they were on the podium here. Strong team and an impressive performance from the Colombians to knock them out. Teams lining up, of course, all wearing masks. And just keep an eye on that windsock on the right hand side of your screen. Blowing around, but not consistently. You see the presentation team also with gloves on to hand the medals and the trinkets to our medal winners.
Medalla de bronce, representando Estados Unidos de América.
Bronze medal, representing the United States of America.
Well, here they are, the USA. Medals and the local doll or teddy, Braden Galantine, Chris Schaff in the middle, and Rio Wild on the left. Now you can imagine that they were bitterly disappointed with going out to Colombia. 232 to 228, a relatively low score for this high-flying American team. And they would have been pleased that they came back against the French in the bronze medal match to end up on the first podium of this new season. The silver medal goes to what looked like a fairly disappointed Colombia, but I think tomorrow when they wake up they'll be pretty happy. Getting a silver medal at the first stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup is no mean feat, just making the podium. You see there Juan Fernando Bonilla on the right, the 18-year-old Pablo Gomez Zuluaga in the middle, and Daniel Munoz, wild number 9, on the left, collecting the medals. It's been a fabulous performance from these three young men. Team Mexico taking the compound men's team gold medal here in Guatemala City. First time Hyundai Archery World Cup Series event has been held in this beautiful city and beautiful country. Uriel Olvera on the left, Miguel Becerra on the right, and Antonio Hidalgo in the middle. Led the team so strongly throughout the entire tournament, and indeed when they had a wobble in the gold medal match, he pulled them back together to take an impressive 230 to 226 win over Colombia. They are the champions of Guatemala City. Well, brilliant stuff from the Mexicans here in Guatemala City, taking the compound men's team gold medal match. From Colombia with the silver medal and the USA with bronze. So waiting for their cue to move from the podium. Let's take a look at the rankings after the first stage. Mexico sitting at the top. It's a surprise, the USA going out in the semi-finals in third, and France with a fourth place here after the first stage. A host nation sitting in fifth. A brilliant performance in the men's team. Nikki, superb from the Mexicans.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they started off really strong. A little bit of a blip in the middle, but finished up really, really strong. You know, I think Colombia kind of opened the door from them, came back, but they held on, didn't they, in Mexico, to take the gold.
Yeah, they certainly did. That 8 at the end was what did it for the Colombians. A solid finish from Miguel Becerra for the Mexicans to secure the gold medal in the compound men's team event. Well, Nikki, they're sanitising again. We've got 2 more matches to come, and one of my favourite things, mixed team.
Yeah, the mixed team event is a fantastic event. It's a newer event of all of them. 1 man, 1 woman in each team. It's just great to see, because this is the only aspect of archery where we do see that mixed together. Otherwise we shoot kind of separately, because you've got to shoot with the people you're scoring against in the same conditions. So yeah, it's a fantastic event added.
Yeah, it's still shooting on this 50-metre range. We're getting a look down, and as you can see, the conditions are changeable again. I don't think the wind speed's been very high at all throughout, but it's just changed. And we take a look at the brackets for the mixed team. Denmark coming through the top of the draw, beating Colombia, then Guatemala. And they're up against the Netherlands, who came through El Salvador, losing to Mexico. Here we go, 4 bronze here in the mixed teams. So out come the teams for this bronze medal final in the compound mixed teams. Teams on the shooting line. It's Guatemala, the host nation. Brilliant to see the home nation doing well and making the medal matches. Losing out to Denmark in the semi-finals. It is Maria Jose Salvador and Julio Barretas, and they go up against the Netherlands. Jody Vermeulen making up the female part of the partnership, and there is Mike Schlesser, world number 2. Netherlands lost to Mexico in the semi-finals, having beaten El Salvador, and will be the favourites here, Nikki.
Yeah, I think the Dutch are definitely favourites here, to be fair. Guatemala have done amazingly well to come through. I mean, they beat USA on the way through in the quarterfinals. Absolutely amazing. They've got every right to be here. But against Mr. Perfect in the Netherlands, it's going to be a tough match.
It certainly is going to be a tough match. It will be Mr. Perfect for the Netherlands who will shoot first. The range is clear. It's time to find out who is going to win bronze in the mixed team event here in Guatemala City. Waiting for the second bell. Mike Schlesser will get this bronze medal match underway. 2 arrows per archer per team.
Yep.
And a perfect start.
Would you expect anything less?
Good shot from Vermeulen as well. A little bit of issue with getting her arrow up.
Yeah, as she drew up, the arrow fell off the rest, so she just managed to push that back on with her front finger. It's just not the time to come down in these matches.
Recovered well. Dropping into the 8 here. Perhaps nerves starting to play a part. We got a good close-up of her right at the beginning, and she did look very nervous.
Buen seguimiento. Firme ahí. Fuerte. Esa es.
Well, I can't say the same for Julio Barretas. He looked very relaxed.
He looked absolutely solid, didn't he? Yeah, lovely shot, straight in the middle.
Yep.
Yes.
Tijd is goed. Zaak naar midden toe. Naar binnen blijven werken.
Well, perfect start for the team from the Netherlands. 40 out of 40. Overcorrection, perhaps.
She just looks so nervous, bless her, that, you know, this is probably the first time she's been up on this stage, and you can just see the shaking, and you just need to hold that bow as still as you can, and when you're under pressure it is difficult. So I think she's just struggling from that, and, you know, first end in, high pressure, but hopefully we'll see her settle down.
Well, dropping 5 points in the first end means they trail by 5, because the Netherlands shot 4 tens, a perfect score from them. They, on the other side of the shooting line, look very solid indeed. Did you expect anything less?
Not really, no. This is why we call Mike Schlesser Mr. Perfect. He opened up his qualification round here in Guatemala with a perfect 360. This guy is just sublime.
Yeah, an absolutely superb start actually for him, and I think he finished with he only dropped 3 points, didn't he? 7-17.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 3 points in the second half. I mean, incredible shooting. Again, these guys shooting at 50 meters on an 80-centimeter face. That 10 ring is pretty small. It's, you know, not much bigger than maybe a small glass cup. You know, it's tiny at that distance, and sticking them in their 10 every time is it's hard going, but he does it better than most.
Yes, he does well, and that's not forget about Jodie Vermeulen, world number 8, 27 years old. She's looking very solid as well. Very nice to have Mr. Perfect standing next to you, but she is holding her own. She shot 2 10s as well. Little smile on the face of Maria Zebedua. She looks like she's just starting to calm down. I suppose the coach has got a little part to play in that. And, well, there's the windsock. Again, doing something very different.
Yeah, not massive conditions here today, but like you say, just changeable, and that can, even if it just, you can feel it on your skin, and that kind of puts you off and makes you think, you know, should I really evaluate how I'm aiming? So it can play a part.
Well, it has done so far, certainly added a little bit of tension as we get end number 2 underway, and it will be Guatemala, host nation, to shoot first. Zebedua here trying to control the nerves. She does actually look like she's just a little bit more settled. Still see that backhand just shaking a little bit. And that's perhaps her most solid shot so far, Nikki.
Yeah, it definitely looked a little bit calmer. You could see really nicely on that camera angle the bubble in the front of the scope. Can't quite see it as much here, just through the front of the scope there. So you could just see it was really centered and really nice. So same for this 2 and 10.
Yeah, Barretas unusually shooting with a pair of binoculars around his neck. Now I know that archers use binoculars obviously to look at their measure, but do they normally wear binoculars when they're shooting?
Yeah, I mean, when you're shooting a qualification round, for example, you definitely want to have a little look and see where the arrows are going. He doesn't need that here because he's got a big screen. He's going to be told what the result is. But it might just be part of his routine. That's normal for him to feel them on his chest, and he wants to continue that normal feeling.
First drop points for the Netherlands.
Buen ritmo, Majo. Firmes izquierdo hasta el final. Eso. Va bien. Exactamente.
Fast shot there. Look at that. The best one so far.
Yeah, it was really quick. Maybe too quick, but it was absolutely where she wanted it to be.
Mucho tiempo. Trabájelo bien. Eso. Firme el izquierdo. Fuerte ahí. Firme. Fuerte. 10. 9. Eso.
Yeah, he looked solid, didn't he? Took a bit of time. I wish we had the clocks here. They've only got about 20 seconds an arrow to get these arrows down.
The coach was counting it down here. Schlesser looked a little anxious after he released that, and then you just heard a little yeah. He's got another 10. So finishing all square with a 39. So just when the Guatemalans have pulled it all together, the Dutch team match them. So we have a 79 for the Netherlands playing a 75 for Guatemala. I'm particularly impressed with the world number 581, Julio Barretas. He's very calm. The process looks identical every time.
Yeah, definitely. He's been absolutely solid throughout. Yeah, I mean, it's just probably a matter of him getting to more stages and going for those world ranking points, really.
Not the cleanest of shots from Mike Schlesser there, but look at how calm and relaxed he is. Same for Vermeulen. Both the Dutch giving a yell of celebration after their second arrows. The Dutch still lead. 79 plays 75 here in the mixed team bronze medal match on Compound Saturday. Host nation in with a shout of a medal here. A need to shoot big to put some pressure on the Netherlands. Step up Maria Zebedua for end number 3.
Eso es. Transferimos. Firmes izquierdo. Fuerte. Esa es, 9.0 a las 12.
Yeah, still shaking a little bit. Definitely calmed down from where she was, but just, you know, got to stick with the process, got to keep thinking a normal shot routine, stick with that. It's hard when all the pressure's on you and the cameras are on, but
Buen seguimiento. Fuerte. Fuerte ahí. Firme. Fuerte. Bien.
he looked really solid with that, and then just at the end you just saw unhappy. Again, he probably was just aiming slightly to the right when it went off.
Yeah, getting early countdown from their coach as well.
Yep.
You don't need to look at. You don't need the target camera when Mike Schlesser is shooting. He tells you whether he shot a 10 or not.
Yeah, nice quick shot, and nearly always in the middle. Just watch the her release hand there. Just see the tilt as you came through. So shooting a back tension, nice and solid.
Entra en zona y fluido, María José. Eso, bien alineada. Perfecto. Deje que corra. Firme. Bien, 9.
Well, on the line, but stadium announcers called it a 9. I tend to agree with him.
Eso es. Firme ahí. Fuerte. 10. 9. Bien, bien, bien. Entró. Perfecto.
And a 10 to finish off. So 37 this end. 112. Here with 2 10s, the Netherlands can get to 119, and that would be a very commanding lead going into the fourth and final end. Half the job done by Mike Schlesser. Hand over to Jody Vermeulen.
Can you see the difference of the weights? So a little bit on the front, more on the back, so that's going to give a balance, which is a bit more upright on the bow. We want that for nice steady aiming with compounds.
Well, Jody Vermeulen dropping a 9 for the second time. Only dropped 2 points throughout the match so far. It's 118, plays 112, subject to confirmation. You talk about the weighting on the bows, so each individual archer will weight their bows and customise their bows for themselves?
Yeah, definitely. So you can see we've got a long rod on there, we've got a side rod as well. So the fashion really now is a 1 side rod on compounds. We used to see 2. So you can see it full draw. There's more weight on the back than there is on the front. You know, maybe 10, 12 weights on the back there. Mike Schlesser even more. Very, very heavy bows. But that's trying to get the best hold at full draw. So when you hold the bow in the throat of the grip, you want it to sit up nicely and not have to do too much. It just kind of sits there and aims. Recurve is very different that we'll see tomorrow, much more balanced all round.
Good description there of the customization of the bows and how important it is to these archers. It's been a great competition from all of the teams from the Americas, but this one in particular will have a focus on the home nation, Guatemala, up for a medal. Whether they get it or not, it's been a tremendous performance. It's time for the fourth end. Guatemala trailing the Netherlands by 6.
Firme izquierdo. Fuerte. Firme. Esa es. Bien, bien, bien. Esa es. Así es.
He looks just cool as a cucumber, doesn't he, at full draw? Really does. Really nice form.
Good discipline from Barretas.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike. Another 10.
Yep. Watch the release aid. She gets in and then she tilts it back. And a little hinge mechanism, and off it goes. Ooh, out in the 8.
Drifted wide, high and left. Making a little adjustment there.
Yeah, maybe she felt that the wind was the issue. You know, it went, she aimed and it went off. So if you're confident in your shot and it's gone somewhere else, you move your sight.
Little smile on the face of Maria Zabadua there, finishing the match with a 9. 2 8s in the first end, but she's improved dramatically since then. On the long hold from Julio Barretas. Finishes with a 10 and a 150 for Guatemala. Very much in the reach of Jody Vermeulen, and first up Mike Schlesser. So done his job, 10s, all 8 of his arrows.
That is good. Zeg nou mee te blijven werken. 10.
And a 10 to finish for Jody Vermeulen. So 38 for the Netherlands, and they have secured the bronze medal with some room to spare, to be fair, Nikki.
Yeah, you know, you expect nothing less from Mr. Perfect himself, but Guatemala have done really well there. I think, you know, it's the first time for them on this stage, and you know, it's a lot of pressure when you're first up there, and all these, look at all the cameramen behind them, that, you know, they're taking pictures, you can hear the shutter going off, and you know, it's something you don't normally hear in the practice range, and it is different, so it's a great experience to be up there. Like I say, they deserve to be here. They beat some fantastic teams on the way here.
Yeah, in particularly the USA, but the bronze medal does go to world number 8, Jody Vermeulen, and world number 2, Mike Schlesser.
Jody Vermeulen, Mike Schlesser. Felicitaciones para ellos, al igual que Guatemala, el país local.
Solid performance from them, and Mike Schlesser never missing the 10 ring. A superb performance from Guatemala, taking out the USA, Paige Pierce and Braden Gelantine in the semi-finals, in the quarter-finals to make the semi-finals, losing to Denmark in those semi-finals, but not able to raise their game to beat the Netherlands, who have taken bronze here in Guatemala. So replacing the targets here for the last medal match, a gold medal match of this session. Nikki, how important is it for the host nation to have some representation in these latter stages?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, especially in a non-COVID time where you have got that crowd, and I think they probably missed that today. You normally have the crowd around you, a bit of home support, cheering for you. I think, you know, they will have missed that, but it's been a great opportunity for them to be up here on this stage and get a real experience of that. Yeah,
I think you're right, and well, these new times do dictate the requirements of the restricting of audiences, and archery itself, though, does lend itself to social distancing, and so perhaps with it being an outdoor sport as well, we will start to see a return perhaps quicker than some other sports to crowds being able to enter the venues. But right now, we move on to the last medal match, a gold medal match here in the compound mixed team event. Athletes, coaches, and the line judge all out and ready for presentation here. It's Denmark versus Mexico for gold here on Compound Saturday. So lining up for the Danes, the world number 9, Tanja Gelantine, formerly Tanja Jensen. And she teams up with the world number 14, Stefan Hansen, both 25 years old. Up against Mexico, Andrea Piquera, 20 years old, lining up with Antonia Hidalgo. A brilliant prospect for this mixed team. Nikki, any thoughts on which way this could swing? I mean, on paper here, Mexico are the highest ranked of these. They're second coming in, and Denmark were 5th, but the Danish are a really strong team. You know, Stefan Hansen, he might be world number 14 at the moment, but he has been an amazing archer over the years, and Tanja, who we're going to see later in the final. So, I don't know, I think I'd say Denmark have got the edge, even though they're lower ranked. Interesting call. So Galantine and Hansen up against Becerra and Hidalgo. Hidalgo will shoot first for the Mexicans. Shot of 14.08 in the ranking round. A bye through the first round, beating France in the quarterfinals by 2 points, and it was a 7-point win over the Netherlands in the semi-finals to bring them to this gold medal match. Up steps Antonio Hidalgo.
Fuerte en línea, fuerte.
Venga, aguántala ahí, fuerte. Aguántala ahí, Toño. Bien.
They're calling to stay strong. Shoots a 9 to get the Mexicans underway. Hands over to number 22, Andrea Sierra. And she goes straight into the 10. So get our first sight of the Danes. Denmark shot a 14.03 in the ranking round. A bye through round 1 was followed by victories over Colombia in the quarterfinals and Guatemala in the semis. World number 9, Tanya Galantine, to get us underway.
Yep.
She didn't look that happy with that shot, but straight in the middle. I mean, the other factor here, the Mexicans have both already shot on this stadium. Just now we've seen them in the team rounds, and these two guys and Denmark are fresh on. So, you know, that might be a little bit, I was going to say, you know, not as prepared, but they've both gone and shot 10s in the first arrow.
But it's an interesting point, isn't it? Because having not shot for 18 months in a competitive environment, that's important, because a lot of these archers will still have been training, but just don't have the added pressure of competition. Is there a bit of mental fatigue being seen out on this first competition after such a long period of time?
Yeah, I think there definitely is, and we've had archers mentioning that through the rounds. You know, they've got tired more quickly. You just can't replicate the pressure of competition. There's so much you can do, but that is a really difficult aspect.
Beautiful second 2 arrows from Mexico, finishing with 39. But the Danes haven't missed the middle of the target, albeit very early in this gold medal match.
Yep. Dødvind. 15.
Interesting, he's shooting a 4-finger release aid with only 3 fingers on it.
10. 9.
You can see the extra hook there for the 4th finger to sit on, and he chooses not to, you know.
Well, that's quite that is quite an interesting point. We're getting down into the sort of nuts and bolts of things. Why on earth would he do that? Why not have a release aid with just the 3 fingers?
You can get 3-finger ones, yeah. Obviously, it's just something he's comfortable with. It might be the spacing, I don't know, but you know, it's just an observation really. But same there as well. Just not using the 4th finger on the actual release aid, choosing to leave it, you know, away from it. But there's so many different variations. I mean, you can see the variation of how upright the hand is on the face, very upright there from Tanya, and some of the others are a bit more sort of out to the side. So there's always variation.
Yeah, and even with we're just talking specifically about the release aid, but you could see then from Jensen there's perhaps even a more obvious expansion at the end of the shot as well that you don't always see you don't see from every archer.
Yeah, she has a very explosive shot, and you don't normally see that in compound. It's usually a bit more controlled than that, but again we'll see more of that tomorrow with the recurves, because their stabilizers push the bow forward as the arrow leaves. But it is a bit more unusual in a compounder, yeah.
Well, great shooting so far. 39 plays 40, subject to confirmation from the target judge, but a brilliant start, setting up for what has the potential to be a great final in this mixed team event on Compound Saturday. Trailing by a single point, Antonio Hidalgo is ready to step up the line for the start of end number 2.
Bien firme. Todo en línea.
10.
Venga, Maya. Buena forma. Enfoque a la X. Bien firme el disparo. Enfoque en la X. Sí. Sigo ahí.
9.
So it's kind of interesting because you could actually see her little finger move during the shot, and for me as a coach, I would just be wanting to stick that finger somewhere solid so it didn't move. But
well, then you say as a coach, you would actually try and move it onto the release.
I think given that she kind of you could see a difference in tension as she was at full draw. So I mean, people shoot successfully, obviously with 3 or 4 fingers, but I'm always looking to reduce movement to keep things as similar, the same. We're trying to repeat the same action again and again. Tell straight away. Yep, a similar reaction, isn't it, with Mike Schlesser, and positivity. As soon as it's gone, he knows it's straight in there.
Fuerte, todo en línea.
They need 10s here. No, she nearly dropped another point to what looks like a formidable Danish team in formidable form.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Time running out.
3.
Well, when the pressure's on.
God tid, gør skuddet helt færdigt.
Now, can the Danes apply more pressure here? Galantine just looking to wait for what looked like a couple of gusts of wind there, potentially.
Yeah, again, like in a team round, I don't think you'd be waiting, and it just disrupt your shot. You've really just got to, make the best of you can of the conditions that are there. So she might have just aimed off slightly. Great shooting.
They are in incredible form. Haven't dropped a single point through the first half of the compound mixed team gold medal match. Tanya Galantine and Stefan Hansen kept a perfect score on 80 versus Andrea Becerra and Antonio Hidalgo on 77. Still not a bad score, but trailing Denmark by 3. So I keep wanting to say Tanya Jensen, but she's obviously got married to a gentleman with the surname Galantine. Do we know any more about that?
Well, I believe it happened in October of 2020. So yeah, I mean, what a pairing who've both, featured here in the finals.
Yeah, they'll both be very happy with their performance in Guatemala City. Now, come on, Nikki, you mentioned it earlier on. Is there some kind of archery reference to the date they've chosen for their wedding?
The 10th month I thought was a nice round number. So yeah, the 20th of the 10th, 2020. So some nice round numbers.
They've done that deliberately. So congratulations to them, and well, congratulations to Denmark so far, leading by 3 points at the halfway stage of this compound mixed team gold medal match. What can Hidalgo and Becerra do? Mexico will shoot first in end number 3.
Firme enfrente. Todo en línea.
So here we go for the third end. Antonio Hidalgo. Looks strong. Called a 10 in venue.
Yeah, I'd go with that. Solid on the line. If it's on the line, it's going to be the highest score.
Well, that's exactly what they needed to do. Put down a maximum score to put some pressure on the Danish opponents.
Tanya just tweaking her peep sight there, so it might not be coming up straight. She just rotated it before she came up to full draw. Make sure she can see right through it into her scope.
Yep.
Yes.
It's not an unusual thing to have to do at that moment in time.
It's not ideal. It can happen, obviously. The peep, we've got twists in the string, so sometimes that can rotate the peep. But we want to have it centered so it lines up perfectly with the scope that you can see at the front of the bow.
Yes.
It's remaining perfect, the Danes. And then when you talk about the peep, so you talk about that's on the back string of the bow, and they actually line that up with the...
Yeah, with the sight at the front, so it's like a little bit of plastic you can see in the string, and they look through a little hole in there and line up with that scope at the front. It's much more like a gun. You've got a proper back sight.
Mexicans keeping the pressure here up on Denmark. They're on for their first perfect 40.
Ocho, siete, seis, cinco.
And they have indeed got their first perfect 40, 117. A bit of pressure on Tanya Galantine, making another adjustment to a peep sight again. Before she took the draw.
Yeah, so if it's slightly off, she'll just have to keep on tweaking it just before she comes up each time. It'll just keep going back to that position, which is just offset at the moment. Not ideal, not what you want to do, but she should be able to see enough to make good shots.
15. 10. 9. Yep.
They've stayed perfect here. 120 to the Danes. Haven't dropped a single point, and they don't look close to doing so. Will that peep sight play a part in this? I mean, first off, is there time for her to make any adjustments now to fix that problem?
No, not at the moment. She needs to put that in a bow press and tweak one of the fibres of the strings over. So she can't do that right now. So just kind of tweaking it each time, just making sure she rotates it before she comes up. That will give her enough so she can see through it just fine. And they're just checking their arrows as well as they come back each end. So these guys are shooting so close together, they can damage their nocks in the target. So as the arrows come back round, it's important to check them over, make sure there's no cracks in them. You never want to shoot a nock with a crack in it. It could be an issue. So you know, those arrows come back, just check they're all okay, in good condition before they can be shot again.
We'll talk about the Mexicans as well here, because they haven't done badly at all. A 39, a 38 and a 40 is great shooting from them, but when the other team are just hitting 10, anything you drop is a problem.
Yeah, they've really shot well. You know, they've come back strong that last end, so they can keep the pressure on now. They're shooting first, so keep on shooting 10s. You never know, but I mean, the Danish are in good form, so it would take a little bit to make that difference. But you, as I say, you've just always got to keep the pressure on. It's not over till it's over.
Yeah, that's it. Well, Antonio Hidalgo ready to get the fourth and final end underway. Mexico trailing Denmark by 3 points.
Bien trabajado. Háblale, Tony, háblale.
Enfoque en la X. Estamos trabajando muy bien. Buena forma. Enfoque en la X. Buen enfoque.
Really nice and solid. Exactly what they needed in that opening end there.
Pressure moves over to the Danes. I don't think they're even looking at the score. Slightly longer hold. So has that equipment issue caused a problem for Tanya Galantine?
That was unexpected too. He looked solid in that until he released, and he immediately knew there was something not quite right. But
well, we're only halfway through the final end here, and Mexico were trailing by 3. They've already caught 2 of them back up. 10's required here. There's one of them. Ooh. All of a sudden, the match has come alive in the 4th and final end here. Can Andrea Pichera get another 10? She's in the 9th. Okay, that's close. That's very close. but the pressure is still on, and that 9's been marked for a measure.
Yep.
So 156, the finishing
good
score,
heel
could get
fairly.
marked up to a 157. Denmark potentially on
Yep,
for a
yes.
158. That's back in the 10, so that's a 148. A
22.
10 to confirm the win,
Nemo
whatever
Nemo.
happens to the last arrow from Mexico.
Yep.
Yup from Stefan Hansen. After 2 9s, their first 2 9s in the whole match for Tanja Gelantine and Stefan Hansen in the 4th and final end. They finish with 2 10s and take the compound mixed team gold here in Guatemala City.
What a match. I mean, God, wasn't it tight at the end there? It really could have gone either way, but the Danish just held on. Really, really great shooting from them too this afternoon, so great to see.
Yeah, really, really brilliant performance, and they livened it up for everybody, made it a little bit more fun, just by shooting a couple of 9s just to make it a little tighter in the end. But good performance, solid shooting from Mexico as well. They were just up against a team on incredible form. There you go. Confirmation that Stefan Hansen, the world number 14, and his teammate, the world number 9, Tanja Gelantine, taking the compound mixed team gold here at the first stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup Series in Guatemala. So strong right at the beginning. The 3 perfect scores on for a perfect total of 160. And does that add its pressure?
Yeah, maybe it does sometimes. You know, if you've not shot that perfect score between yourselves before, to go out, and you're probably aware of it. You're probably aware that nothing's been dropped at this point. So yeah, that can add a little bit. But they held on for the finish.
Well, let's hear what they have to say.
Congratulations on this gold medal, Stefan. How does it feel to win this gold here in Guatemala?
It was very good. I mean, we haven't shot any competitions outdoor like this together for like a couple of years now, so it's good to be back and good to have a good result and show that we still can do it.
Tanja, you shot almost a perfect score, but you both had a 9 in the same end. What happened with those 2 arrows?
I don't know.
She had a little bit of wind on her.
No,
so.
I don't know. I think we wanted to make it interesting, you know, to add a little excitement in the end. But no, I'm really happy with how many 10s we shot and how well we did, and we finished well, so that's all that matters.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, very gallant there from Stefan Hansen. He excused Tanja Gelantine's, probably quite rightly, with a bit of wind. But Tanja Jensen, I keep trying to say, Tanja Gelantine said, well, she wanted to make it interesting.
Yeah, it certainly did make it interesting, didn't it? It just opened the door, but Mexico just couldn't quite step through it. But God, it was nail biting in the last end.
Yeah, 2 9s, having shot 10s perfectly through the first 3 ends. And really, I repeat again, Mexico didn't shoot badly at all. They were just up against a team that struggled to miss the 10, basically, throughout the match. A bit of wind affecting one of Gelantine's arrows. And I think Hansen, just affected by that 9 from his opponent, from his teammate, forced him into the 9s. But they corrected it with 2 10s to finish it off and take the gold medal in the mixed team event here on Compound Saturday. We can hear the anthem ringing out in the background, and that's why, because it's already time for the medal ceremonies here. The last one in this session. The Compound mixed teams. As the athletes parade out, I'll mention to the hosts here in Guatemala the fact that they did actually have representation here on Compound Saturday in the medal matches. The Guatemala mixed team of Maria Jose Zebedua and Julio Barretas just not quite good enough to take the Netherlands in the bronze medal match. So it will be Netherlands to step up onto the podium first.
Arturo Cordero.
The presentation party here being presented to
Medalla de bronce,
the other archers here, because there's no crowd. And they were presenting first to the Netherlands. Jody Vermeulen on the left and Mike Schlesser shooting a 156 to take bronze. Well, presented with the traditional local doll as well. Netherlands with bronze.
Medalla de plata, representando México.
The team from Mexico shot brilliantly in the final. 146, only dropping 4 points themselves throughout the entire 4 ends of the match. But it wasn't enough for gold. It was silver for Andrea Becerra and Antonio Hidalgo. And we have a team from outside the Americas on the podium for the first time. In fact, we have 2 of them. Netherlands taking bronze, and it's Denmark here with the compound mixed team gold medal. Tanja Gelantine and Stefan Hansen were near perfect in their gold medal match, dropping just 1 point each, and that in the final end of the match. Pulled it back together to shoot 2 10s to finish off, shooting a 158 of a potential 160. So close to perfection, but definitely enough for the gold medal here at the first stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup Series in Guatemala.
Señoras y señores, por favor pónganse de pie para escuchar el himno nacional de Dinamarca.
And now it's time for the national anthem for Denmark, and a little bit of emotion on Stefan Hansen's face.
Señoras y señores, por favor, démosle un
Well, there we have
aplauso
it, the
a nuestros
final
medallistas.
medal ceremony here in the first session of Compound Saturday. First of 2, of course, more to come later on. Denmark taking a gold in the compound mixed team from Mexico, with the Netherlands taking the bronze medal. A superb performance from the Danes in the final as well. And here are the rankings. Top to bottom, where you see Guatemala stand out for me in 4th, and perhaps the other standout, USA, down in 6th place, but just after the first stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup Series. We take a look back at brilliant Denmark here, just so good in the final, shooting 10s through the first 3 ends, putting huge amounts of pressure on a strong Mexican team who will definitely feel buoyant after performing so well. dropping just 4 points themselves, but the Danes were just so good.
Yeah, they were unbelievable through that match, weren't they? Opening up, perfect 2 ends, and then both dropping a 9 in the third, but Stefan's saying that there was a little bit of win there for Tanya, but, you know, remarkable shooting, 158 out of 160. That's what we want to see, really.
Yeah, superb. Great welcome back to archery from them. So that is it. Nikki, your highlight from our compound team session?
Yeah, I think that highlight has to be that last match with Denmark. I mean, they were the strongest throughout all the sessions we saw this morning with the teams, the best scoring team of all. So yeah, it was an impressive display, and we'll see Tanya later.
I agree with you totally. Brilliant performance from Denmark. The women's team gold went to the USA, the men's team gold went to Mexico, and the mixed team gold to Denmark. Well, that is it from the compound team session here in Guatemala City. What a brilliant welcome back to archery. Coming up later today, we'll see the final 4 in the compound men's and women's individual. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.